how do we actually find the right words to describe the world's biggest challenges? I mean, we turn on the news and we're just bombarded with these massive, often overwhelming concepts, right? So today, we're going to break down these immense challenges and build a really clear, structured framework to help us truly understand our modern world. To make this all super easy to digest, we're going to go from macro to micro. Here are our sections. 1. Nature's wrath. 2. The concrete jungle. And 3. The human toll. All right, section 1. Nature's wrath. Global disasters. Let's get into it. Starting at the macro level, we can group weather disasters by their core elements. Take a hurricane. At its core, it's really just very strong wind. Then you've got floods, which happen when water overflows riverbanks after heavy rain. Add in forest fires, where, lots of trees burn, and snowstorms. And suddenly we've got a clear categorization of what happens when the elements turn against us. And then there's the earthquake. The definition for this one is as terrifying as it is simple. It's literally just when the earth moves. Places like San Francisco know this reality all too well, unfortunately. It's kind of the perfect macro problem, right? We can't stop it, we can only prepare for it. Now that brings us to a really interesting pivot. Nature can be wildly chaotic, as we just saw with things like hurricanes and earthquakes. But what happens when we create our own chaos in the very places we build to live together? Let's zoom in a bit, from the massive global forces of nature down to the spaces we inhabit every single day. Moving on to section 2, the concrete jungle, city struggles. A lot of our daily systemic struggles stem from one really simple root cause. There are just too many people in some places. Cities are too crowded. When you pack that much of humanity into tight spaces, friction is absolutely inevitable. And this friction plays out every single day on our commutes. But we have to separate the event from the timing here. A traffic jam is the physical event itself, when cars can't easily move. But the rush hour, that's the specific time of day, usually morning or evening, when there is the most traffic. It's when everyone decides to cause a traffic jam at the exact same time. And naturally, all these crowded roads increase the risk of a car crash, which is simply when cars hit one another. But hey, it's not just our roads that get clogged up. It's our whole environment. We're talking about pollution, which is defined as when the air, water, or earth is dirty and bad for people, plants, and animals. It's kind of the inevitable byproduct of our crowded urban spaces. And the impact is incredibly tangible. When a river is polluted, a lot of fish die. The sheer volume of cars in our towns creates heavy air pollution. We're not talking abstract concepts here. This is literally dirty water we can't drink and bad air we're forced to breathe. And that brings us to section 3. The human toll, social issues. Down at the micro level, we really have to look at severe personal hardship, and it's vital to clearly differentiate these struggles. Being unemployed means a person is without a job, but being homeless is an entirely different level of vulnerability. That means being without a place to live, often forcing folks to sleep on the streets. So one is a lack of work, while the other is a lack of basic shelter. And the tough reality is that these societal hardships cascade. Being poor means not having enough money, which can rapidly lead to being hungry, literally not having enough food. These are the daily, on-the-ground realities for vulnerable populations living in those crowded cities we were just talking about. Now, when economic and political systems fracture, we start seeing systemic upheaval. For instance, if wages fall too low, workers might go on strikes, meaning stopping work entirely due to low wages. And at the absolute most extreme end of the spectrum, political problems can escalate into war, like the First World War, where millions of lives are impacted. These are major global problems born directly from human conflict. So, let's take a quick step back and look at the journey we've just taken today. We went from the earth moving to crowded streets, all the way down to individuals in need. We started macro, looking at the immense power of nature with earthquakes and hurricanes. Then we zoomed into those crowded city streets, dealing with rush hours and air pollution. And finally, we arrived at the micro scale, defining the realities of being hungry, homeless, or unemployed. It really shows how these words connect the massive physical world directly to our shared human experience. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this final question to ponder. Which of these global problems impacts your local community the most? Whether it's the looming threat of a weather disaster, the daily frustration of a traffic jam, or seeing individuals in need on your own streets, you now have the exact vocabulary to define it clearly. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep observing the world around you, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.